Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com, as well as on Amazon. I'm very happy to have Marc Fishman back on. He was on season 5, episodes 202 and 224, and he's got some great news coming out of Westchester, New York State. And I'm going to let you Marc, tell everybody. I don't want to steal your thunder. You've
Good
got a
afternoon,
lot.
Marianne. It's so nice to be back on the show and so nice to see you. And again, thank you for all your advocacy and helping so many of us spread the word and tell our story and tell your story. It's so meaningful. And yes, we have some good news this afternoon.
Finally, huh?
It's always nice to talk about good news. Uh,
Yes,
for those of us who've been years in family court, even small wins are appreciated.
most definitely. But yours is huge, and I think you also use Morgan versus Morgan.
Yes. So, as you referenced, I filed papers in front of the appointed family court judge, who in my case was a Supreme Court domestic violence judge, Susan Capici. I've had her since I was falsely accused of violating order of protection for not going on my ex-wife's property during supervised visit, where I paid someone $500 and I had a confirmed visit with an order, visitation order, with my disability aid, where I was 4 houses away from the ex. And then after I went to the police, I was arrested for violating an order of protection. I never violated, but the cops knew I didn't violate that. Now the cops have been linked to the conspiracy and false reporting to record a false arrest report in the computer system. And I'm pleased to report that both the cop who falsely arrested me, Lane Schlesinger in New Rochelle, was terminated, and his boss was suspended. Lane was
Wow.
terminated in May of last year. We found out in December after the Attorney General, Letitia James, released an LEMIO report. So those who aren't aware, that's a law enforcement misconduct investigative report that is generated from a new law that happened post the Floyd riots. And
Mhm.
basically what it says is, if a cop is referred for discipline, the police chief of the local police office, so in this case it's Robert Garza in New Rochelle, finds 5 or more sustained instances of police misconduct, abuse, false reporting within 2 years, he has to immediately notify the Attorney General.
Wow.
So, unbeknownst to my legal team and I in federal court, because we had sued Lane Schlesinger for not accommodating me, for malicious prosecution, false arrest, and not giving us the exonerating cameras, which we got a couple years ago, showing I didn't violate any order of protection, and I didn't go on anyone's property, and I didn't communicate to someone I haven't spoken to since 2015, my ex-wife. So after we got the exonerating audio and video, we've been complaining to the Attorney General with other people falsely arrested by this cop.
So there's a trail of breadcrumbs of other people that have been falsely arrested. That's pretty scary.
It's very scary. So Lane Schlesinger was one of 16 cops as of December 2024 in all of New York State labeled pattern misconduct, pattern abuse, pattern lying police officer by Attorney General Letitia James. He was the only one in Westchester, the only one in New Rochelle, and he was referred in January 22. It took them 3 years to investigate him because he absconded and interfered with the investigation. He was on desk duty the whole time. They didn't tell a lot of us. And his misconduct ranges from making reports that differ from what his police vest video said, being rude, demeaning, and making false arrests and issuing false summonses. So the upstart of that is that together with his supervisor, who signed my false arrest report, Sean Kane, being suspended this past June after Sean Kane was caught planting drug evidence on his video cam on a personal trainer named Ivan Harper.
Mhm.
So he was suspended immediately, referred to the DA, and he is still suspended. The video clearly showed he tried to shut off his camera video, but as we know, you can't shut off the best. Some of them record. and it clearly shows him putting the drugs in the underneath the tire well, then calling in and saying, "Oh, I found drugs in the wheel well." You know, so now we have two corrupt cops, Marianne, against disabled Marc Fishman, who just wanted to see his autistic son December 15, 18, and was trying to abide by a 28-page agreement, you know, with a supervisor for
Yep.
disabled families and my disability aid, not driving a car, in the back, trying to visit my son 10 to 5 twice a month. And this now has turned into my ex-wife conspiring with these two cops to facilitate a false arrest and the ultimate act of parental alienation, keep me away from my kids by getting a criminal order of protection, preventing me to have access to my kids.
Oh, I'm so sorry she did that. What
Well,
was she thinking?
guess what? Um, Magistrate Rose Cavanella was not sorry. And as you said, we have big news to report. Ta-da! February 28th, 2025, Judge Rose granted a retroactive termination of child support for my son Aiden, who has not come to a visit since 2018, since before I had Judge Peachy. He has missed over 100 visits. My ex-wife's in contempt. Judge never did anything about contempt. You know, it was Judge Capici, who, you know, is the pro-women's judge, so she didn't care. So Judge Rose Cavanella terminated my support and issued a credit of $48,800 based on $760 a month for one kid, Aiden. And she did that on filing of the motion together with, obviously, the police video showing I didn't commit crime, the police misconduct report, the suspension report of Kane, as well as the fact that my ex-wife called in unfounded allegations of abuse in 2014. So there's basically no credibility, together with the appellate division, our Brooklyn appellate division, saying that unlike my ex-wife and unlike Schlesinger and now suspended Officer Kane, the appellate division in February 20 interpreted the order of protection as I did, which was Mr. Fishman is to stay away from the home, the school, and the work of Miss Solomon, my ex-wife, Jennifer Solomon, and the four kids, except, my friend Marianne, EXCEPT, said right in the report, except limited supervised visitation twice a month. On the 1st and 15th, this was December 15th. So the appellate court found that I was abiding by the order. By the way, it was an oral order of protection. So, you know, we never got a copy. I'm hearing impaired. I'm using closed captioning on yours. You don't give someone with a hearing impairment and traumatic brain injury an oral order. But again, we were trying to follow as best we understood it. And again, I was listening to a supervisor who was abiding by the order. She understood it with the visitation. But as Lane Schlesinger interpreted, for those of you who would like to see the motion, this was a violation because his interpretation was totally different. His interpretation was I couldn't be in the city of New Rochelle. Oh, okay. Did my ex-wife tell you that one? My neurosurgeon's there. So is my chiropractor. So is my vet. You know, some of my suppliers there. New Rochelle's a big place. I think it's got 12,000 residents. I don't know anyone that gets the order of protection for the whole city. But according to Lane Schlesinger, who, you know, did some nasty things, this is his interpretation, and his supervisor just signed off on it. So basically, I think the Westchester Family Court was forced after I finally got permission to file, because keep in mind, they don't give you permission. After I got permission to file February 12th to terminate support. And also, by the way, terminate childcare. Why am I paying childcare when the childcare provider just retired in 2017? Oh, Marianne, I sued them in federal court. Okay, so Marc Fishman has to pay $300 a month in childcare for what? You know, my youngest kid is in 2017 was I think in his teenagers. So it's all ridiculous, you know. So the bottom line is the judge credited child support going forward. She terminated my son Aiden support going forward. Retroactive credit 2018 of $48,800. And the same order, she also emancipated my daughter, who turned 21. I miss them all very much and would rather see them and be a normal dad. But, you know, in New York, we have to apply for permission to terminate our kids off support when they're 21. This is absurd.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a hearing on the 19th to consider the items which we didn't ask for immediate relief on, which are terminating the child support for the rest of the kids, retroactive 21, when Judge Capici stopped virtual visits when, let's see, 3 of the 4 kids were complaining. My autistic son wanted to continue visits. She stopped it for all of us. So, and quite frankly, if I'm in the middle of a pandemic, my kids are in New Rochelle, 2 blocks from the center of the pandemic. I haven't seen Dad since 2019. They won't let me see him. They won't let me do in person, even though we had supervised do in person. So, how much can you do on a TV screen when you have 4 kids? When you can't send a gift, you can't send a letter, you can't call them, you can't send a postcard. What do you expect? I feel for my kids. They've been denied a father. And, all of this was conspiracy of my ex-wife with the 2 cops. And now the Attorney General has been in New Rochelle for 8 months. We've confirmed that. And she is now in Westchester County. So, the DOJ has been in Mount Vernon and New Rochelle for over a year, investigating the mayor, investigating some of the trustees for inappropriate payments, and obviously investigating his conduct. I'm also happy to report that my magistrate in New Rochelle was terminated. So the same day I get my order from Magistrate Rose, once you have a magistrate, Marianne, for support, you have the person for life. Oh no, suddenly Magistrate Jordan, who threatened to lock me up, never lowered my support when I was in a hospital 2 years for rehab, never gave me a credit, never gave me any reduction. Suddenly she is terminated after 12 years. Wow. Oh, wow. No, I told the Westchester Family Court in the papers that I've gotten threats from cops, which I have, friends of Lane Schlesinger, that if I return to New Rochelle, I will be harmed. Oh. Lane Schlesinger, as a result of the Attorney General report and the misconduct, lost over $4 million in pension benefits. He's a cop for 17 years. We need 20 for the full pension. He'll only get half. So instead of getting his full salary of $183,000, can you imagine that, Marion? A pension of $183,000 to torture people like you and me who just want to be a good parent. He's only going to get 91. And since he's in his early 40s and maybe his life expectancy is 30, 40 years, he's not going to get the $182,000. And if there's criminal action, he won't get anything. And it's very clear his police report was false. On the police report that he signed with suspended planting drug supervisor Sean Kane, he was asked, is a supervisor present? It's a domestic violence report. He marks unknown. Unknown? But on the video you wouldn't give to me and the jury in January 20, when I had my trial, you tell the supervisor, she's a supervisor 9 times. You tell my disability aide, she's a supervisor. Why are you calling her a supervisor? Why do you mark unknown? Mary, if he marked the supervisor's present, there's no arrest. There's no arrest. I'm with the supervisor.
So all his misconduct, that will be felonies, do you think?
I think that they don't want to prosecute, in terms of Schlesinger. They just wanted him gone. And I think, he was on desk duty unbeknownst to us. They said he didn't know how to talk to people. He was demeaning. He was mean. And, so recording a false document in a government system can be a misdemeanor if you've done it more than once. In my case, he did it 3 times, but we know he did it for others because they referenced the Attorney General report. Then it could become a felony. But are they going to prosecute a cop? Come on. The Attorney General is already calling for every one of his convictions or every one of his cases to be reviewed. The new DA doesn't want to do it. The new DA doesn't even have a procedure to do it, Judge Chasey, who is now DA Chasey. It's the only one. She's lucky there's only 1 cop. Tish James had like 12 in New York City. You have to have a procedure. You have to review everyone. He has no credibility. Who else did he do this to? When we had our trial in trial prep, we had what's called enhanced discovery in New York. A lot of people complain about across the country. Enhanced discovery, in a nutshell, Marianne, means that if you have to give any and all exonerating evidence, the whole file you have, to the defense, and now you need to certify you've given it to them at least 15 days before trial. So this law went into effect January 1, 20. My trial was January 4th, 20. On January 15, 20, prosecutor Amit Parab for DA Scarpino, used to be Judge Scarpino, says the arresting officer is refusing to sign the form. But he tells me Mr. Fishman sued him. Okay. So what's the next step? The next step under the law, Marianne, which was new at the time, was that, okay, you have to investigate to verify what he's withholding. No cameras, no audio. Okay, none of the uh, 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 um, um, other officers that were present in the reports. Nothing. They ruled a month later that the cops had to sign or face termination. So this guy didn't sign it. So they were never even ready for trial. Of course, he wasn't going to sign it. By that time, I had already sued him a year. And was he going to certify that he's going to give me the video evidence to exonerate me and have him fired? Of course not. So, like you, I'm very persistent and appreciate the compliments and I appreciate the hard work. I was told that my federal lawsuit was a loser. I was told in January 19, after I sued the cop and New Rochelle for disability discrimination, malicious prosecution, false arrest, withholding evidence, conspiracy, violation of my civil rights, that this was dumb because I wasn't exonerated yet. And I told everyone else that, you know what, I respect your opinion, but I'm not going to drop it. So my own family members said it was actually the dumbest thing I've ever done. Well, Marianne, 6 years later, I have my federal lawsuit, and a couple years ago, we got the video and the audio and discovery, 9.5 hours. It's 16 images on a screen. So what was maybe 2.5 hours, the police precinct is 9.5 hours. It's all delay screen. And what does Schlesinger tell my disability aide, Isabel Bolivar? Oh, I don't think Mark had malicious intent to commit a crime. Oh, I don't think Mark committed a crime. You know what? I'm looking at this. I really don't see a crime here. This definitely wasn't malicious. Marianne, in New York, in order to commit a crime, you have to have intent. My intent was to see my kid. That was it, in the back of a car for a visit. But the jury never got to hear this. When we questioned Schlesinger in open court, in his deposition in October 23, before we knew he was on desk duty and with the Attorney General, and asked him, did you say these things? Oh, well, I couldn't hear it. Okay, we had it blown up, made it louder in federal court. Oh, well, I don't know. And then my attorney played a third time. Officer, do you not hear yourself saying to Isabel Bolivar that Mr. Fishman did not have malicious intent? Yeah, I said it. Okay, so why'd you arrest him? Oh, I was having empathy for Miss Bolivar. And he said, what about empathy for Mr. Fishman? You committed a false arrest.
Well, he must be very arrogant to pull this stuff.
He is. He went into a hospital demanding to see his mother during COVID. We discussed that the last hearing. And who does this? With your hand on your gun, it goes through 3 sets of security and contaminates, ventilated rooms at the time where the most severe injured COVID people are, and, goes through the plastic thing. Who does this when everyone tells you not to?
A personality disorder.
People who don't follow the rules or follow the law. But Marc Fishman was trying to follow it,
So what is he doing now? Is he working at Home Depot?
I have no idea what he's doing now. By his friends contacting me, I believe he's pretty pissed that he lost half his salary. I'm sure he's not making $180,000 somewhere else. I'm sure he's not going to come testify in federal court or state. The DA still has not dropped charges, even though IDV court has dropped charges. Like you prosecute on the felon, the DA is not. The DA says, come back to face jail. Jail for what? So the Attorney General, we know, has been contacting them. Obviously, they now have to take into consideration that the family court has declared it alienation by my ex, and the family court has reviewed the report. And here's the other problem with DA. DA Kachesi was a judge for 23 years. DA Kachesi had Officer Schlesinger and Lieutenant Kane in her courtroom testifying more than a dozen times. Well, Judge, you're conflicted. The DA, you got to recuse. You shouldn't be investigating cases that you prosecute. You should have someone review it, because according to the law on Kane and Schlesinger, the law is whoever they want to hate. Maybe they're independent robots of Judge Shower and all the family court mafia. You never know, right? Isn't it amazing? So the shock here is that, the law, you mentioned Morgan and Morgan, Thompson and Thompson. Okay, the standard is that if your kid has nothing to do with you, because your custodial spouse, your ex-wife, ex-husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, okay, has so frustrated their access to you, so frustrated your access to the kids, that there is grounds for child support termination. In most cases, this is going forward. Keep in mind, I filed for Parental Alienation for Aiden in 2018. Mm-hmm. So in essence, it's the same papers I filed that were denied. And now I did a motion saying, well, it's pretty obvious now, Judge. She's never brought him to a visit since you've been the judge. Before it was shower, she's never brought him, ever. So, you even ordered to face contempt. Why don't you hold her in contempt? Oh, no, only men get held in contempt with Judge Peachy. But I have to give Judge Peachy a little credit, because there's only one category of people I think she hates more than disabled men. And that is cops that lie to her. I tell you that cops that lie to Judge Peachy, I swear to God, that judge will throw you in hell. So I can't even imagine what she's thinking about all the cases where Schlesinger testified. And that was my motion. I filed a criminal motion pro se. I said, I'm sick of lawyers. I'm sick of legal fees. Mm-hmm. My criminal motion pro se was, Judge Capici, they changed the law. You can't amend misdemeanor information prosecutions. She allowed it to be amended in November 2019 for Schlesinger to correct the record according to her, right? And People v. Hardy, okay, case 48, 2019, our Court of Appeals, our highest court, Marianne, said, you can't amend and you can't do superseding misinformation with new information. You have to dismiss the case. No. Oh, it's Marc Fishman. Marc Fishman sues the court. Disability discrimination. Marc Fishman sues and gets an award for real-time transcription. Marc Fishman gets an award for note taker in the Federal Second Circuit. Oh, Marc Fishman sues at the staff in my court. Oh, Marc Fishman sues. Well, if they violate civil rights, what do you expect? We sue in federal court. We're not going to sue in state court. We have no rights in New York court. So, Judge Peachy allowed the amendment, and the amendment said by Schlesinger that I went to the house. Marianne, the video shows I was 4 houses away. My ex-wife testified I was 2 houses away. My ex-wife, let me scratch testified. Let me take it back. My ex-wife said on the recorded audio, police audio, I was 2 houses away. She testified I was on the border of her property during the criminal trial. And on the border, she went, did he go on your property? No, he didn't cross the border. But on the audio, with the radio run, Officer Schlesinger asked her 3 times, the audio radio run we never got. Because, hey, you sue the cops, you're not going to get evidence. Oh, who cares? Your progressives, Democrats in New York gave you enhanced discovery. Oh, you're Marc Fishman. Screw you. That goes out the window, dude. You're going to fry in hell. So Schlesinger asked her 3 times on the audio. Did he go on the property? No. Did he attempt to go on the property? No. Did he communicate with you? No. Did he call you? No. Did he text you? No. Did he send you a message? No. What did he do? He was 2 hours away. He came here. It's not his visit. What? Ann Elliott went to our property, the supervisor, to get the kid. We had a text message confirming it. Mm-hmm. I wrote to Ann Elliott on the 14th of December. I miss my kids, Ann. I'm writing to confirm my visit. It's Hanukkah. I'm lonely and I want to give them kids. I want to give them gifts. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do we have a visit tomorrow? I get a text back at 4:08 a.m., which I showed Officer Schlesinger while he was questioning me without my aid. Mr. Fishman, the visit is confirmed. Pick me up at 9 a.m. I'll be by the donut store. Oh, okay, we did. My aide drove, picked her up, because I can't drive, because Judge Shower says I can't in the order. I was trying to abide by it. We picked her up. We proceeded to go to Westchester. We had to visit my disabled son, to take him to his hockey class. He was outside the driveway in his hockey class, but I didn't go to the driveway. I know I had an order. I stayed away. I was in the backseat of the car. Oh, no, you're Marc Fishman, and Jennifer Solomon is upset again because Ann Elliott, like the other 8 supervisors, all wrote that you don't need a supervised visitation. And that irked Jennifer. Oh, she's writing he doesn't need supervision? Let's call in a violation. Let's call in a false arrest. And as my friend James Kelly said, and we've talked about over time, Marianne, thank God we have the cameras and the audio. And thank God the cameras and audio is in place of public accommodation. And thank God we have Federal Judge Rahman and the magistrate in the federal case who ordered New Rochelle to produce it. And New Rochelle kept on saying for 4 years and 10 months, up until 2023 in my federal pro se lawsuit, okay, the cameras don't exist. We don't have them. They weren't recording. We don't have the records. Okay. But once you're in federal court, you raise that hand. Hey, Marianne, let's raise that right hand. Yo, I'm Officer Schlesinger. Do you have the camera? Oh, yeah, we got the camera. Oh, yeah, it's been in my desk all the time. Oh, and do you have all the camera footage? Yeah, I have all the camera footage. Oh, Officer Schlesinger, can you please tell us if you reviewed anything in advance of this deposition? Did you review any paperwork, any accident reports? Oh, I saw the camera footage. Oh, gee whiz. So he gets the camera footage for the deposition, but Fishman gets a conviction falsely for not going on a property with no video, no audio. And we wonder why Officer Lane Schlesinger, Mr. Arrogant, SOB, gets labeled pattern misconduct. This conduct doesn't get developed in one arrest. This gets developed over 25 or 50 arrests, Marianne.
Oh, yeah.
This is a corrupt cop who takes sides. Let's go to the videotape. So his supervisor actually did affirmation, Officer Wensler, who is their chief of internal affairs, who said, I have maintained these cameras in my possession since the false arrest. He didn't use false, but since the arrest date of December 15, wait a second, but you said you didn't have them. You filed 8 sets of papers, you just said you didn't have them. But my attorney and I, because I brought an attorney finally for the depositions, we're going to depose Marianne in federal court. So all my friends listening, all Marianne's friends, if you have a federal case, okay, you want to depose in the federal office building. Why? Because if they lie in federal court, it's a federal crime. We had a federal personnel in the room. It's enhanced federal crime. You're in a federal court. This is a federal proceeding. And what do they get? What did Martha Stewart go to jail for? Not insider trading. She lied. What did a lot of these people in the cabinet and stuff and the government, when they talk to the FBI or the Congress? Oh, you lied. You lied. Oh, so once you brought the police and the little supervised police into federal court, oh, you guys got to think twice about lying. You can lie in state court because in state court, nothing matters.
Yeah.
We just pick someone. You lie in federal court? Oh, yeah, well, both of them didn't lie in federal court. So Officer Schlesinger had no problem telling everyone he rehearsed and looked at the cameras before the deposition, but I couldn't get them. Before my deposition, I couldn't get them in advance, and we didn't have them for the trial or for the years of orders of protection that I've had while they've adjourned this case. And this is our police force, Marianne. Yeah. This is what we have. This is who we are supposed to have community enforcement policing.
Mark, I'm surprised he didn't destroy it.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did, Marianne, but guess what? We're in the 21st century. We found the grant for the cameras. These are digital recordings, and they have a backup. And they have a company that backs them up. Maybe he did. We know he didn't provide them. We know the DA says they never got them. We know the cops said they gave it to ADA Simmons, who's no longer there. And there's no receipt they gave it to them. We know that if they would have given it to us as defense, it would have been a compact disc, a couple compact discs. It doesn't fit on one. Mm-hmm. We didn't have the ability in the consumer market to send 9.5 hours video with 16 images on commercial applications in 2019, 20. Dropbox was just developing. You didn't have these large files. Dropbox can't even transcribe the whole thing because it's more than an hour. So, it would have been a physical disc. So where's the receipt? Now the Westchester DA has the defense portal. They check off items. Now they won't go through with a case if the cop doesn't sign off on discovery. But back then they did. Why? Oh, it's Marc Fishman. He sues the cops. Oh, he sues the judges. The marshals go and serve them at their house.
Aw.
And in Lane Schlesinger's case, Officer Schlesinger, why did you avoid service for 2.5 years? Well, I was busy. You were busy? Mr. Fishman's attorney tried to serve you 8 times. We served your mother. We served your aunt. We served your office. We served your lieutenant. We served the secretary. We served your duty chief. Okay, but we couldn't serve you. Judge Rahman had to declare you're served, that you evaded service. Why would you avoid service? I wasn't trying to avoid service. I was just busy. You mean you're trying to hide your irresponsibility because you didn't give the cameras and the audio, and you marked the arrest report false because you put no supervisor, and on the section of is there camera or audio available, you mark it blank. And you record that in the government computers. So no one's looking for camera and audio. But Marc Fishman, whether during one of his occipital neuralgia headaches, reads and goes to the town city council meetings with the board of trustees, and they talk about they got a $254,000 grant for 7 cameras in the police precinct in the questioning rooms and the main room. They still haven't given us the questioning room, but they gave us the main entry foyer. Why did that take 4 years and 10 months, man? And why did it take an attorney general 3 years to write the report? We still have foiled for the documents in the report. They say they're privileged. It's a public report. My definition is they're not privileged. We're still waiting for the response from the cops and the DA when they got the original letter, May 24th, 24. They haven't given that yet. Mm-hmm. You know, we just know Schlesinger was terminated, and we know his retirement benefits were half. But this is what we have to fight. Now, why am I having to go with a DA who is so persistent to want someone to lock up? Well, every day I'm out, we find out more and more information. More and more people are coming forward. How many others, didn't realize there were law enforcement misconduct report? It wasn't like the AG advertised it. There was no press conference. You know, how many others pleaded guilty or had a false conviction because Schlesinger or Kane testified against them? We're talking in Schlesinger's case, again, not to be a broken record, the only cop in Westchester State in 4 years to be designated pattern misconduct. And they don't tell us this at a deposition. I'm lucky I got the report into discovery in my case, the federal case. I'm very, very lucky that it's there. But like you're saying, what jury would find him have any credibility? It makes perfect sense why someone like my ex-wife, Jennifer Solomon, associates with Schlesinger. That's easy. She's lied about everything in the case. Mm-hmm. False abuse. She said I strangled the kids in 2014. As you discussed, I have carpal tunnel syndrome. My pinky and finger are numb. In 2014, I was wearing a brace in my left hand for carpal. Cubital tunnel syndrome. I have left arm. Cubital tunnel syndrome, right arm. I can't squeeze my hands. I have a tough time holding a pen. I use the Dragon transcription. I strangled somebody. Did you check to see if that's physically possible? You're saying I strangled the twins. No, the twins were playing aggressively with each other. I picked them up from Little Gym where they were in a class. And twins are pretty aggressive. Aiden threw apple juice at Sky. Those are my 2 twins. No, but Mark has to face the humiliation of CPS and ACS, because I live in the city with ACS and CPS in Westchester. Mm-hmm. They dismissed the case in under 6 weeks. Under 6 weeks. Good. And you know what that did? You think that would be good for the case, Marianne? All that did was make Judge Shower, who took over the case 6 months later, more furious. Because according to Judge Shower and Judge Peachy, I'm just guilty, forget about it. Who needs a trial? You know, it's sad. It's very, very sad. And, I wish I would have been educated on disabilities and federal law. And I wish I would have sued in the first 6 months once my civil rights were violated. This cost a lot of stress. I'm heavy. I'm 80 pounds heavier than it was over there. I mean, it's exacerbated so many symptoms of my disability. Who needed this ridicule, right?
No, I mean, the thing is, we find things out after the fact. You know
it, which is probably why they can't find a family court judge to take over custody, because I want custody of my twins, who are 16 and a half. I want them back. Mm-hmm. And obviously the chance to try to have a reunification. Mm-hmm. So of course they don't want to find anybody to handle that, because the testimony is supposed to going to be about let's bring in the attorney general who wrote up the report, Miss Manigault. Let's bring up the police chief. Oh, let's bring in Schlesinger. I guarantee he's going to take the 5th if he shows up. The supervisor could definitely take the 5th. So. And I want an open courtroom, so I'd prefer, open forum. I'd prefer to do this all in federal court. For those at home, I will sure you guys will be interested and have your keg of beer and your popcorn and your potato chips next to it, and listen to the entertainment of these police officers trying to explain their corruption by just saying, "I take the 5th. I take the 5th." You don't have to. Why did this attorney general report, Marianne, take 3 years? The police chief referred him in January 22. So January 22, my trial covers January 20, but mine's not mentioned in the report. Oh, you're supposed to mention all the cases. So the initial comment from the Attorney General was, "Oh, my case was older." No, Schlesinger lied about the evidence in mid-January, within 2 years of that letter of the referral to you. Schlesinger testified that there were no cameras. Schlesinger testified that there was no radio and audio. And so that's misconduct.
Mm-hmm.
Testimony lying by a state officer. Yeah, try and get a DA or a state prosecutor to prosecute for lying in an order protection case. Come on. They'd rather prosecute you for jaywalking, you know?
Oh, so when you are you going to appear in person or over Zoom?
Yeah, so anyone who wants to attend, we'll send you a link, Marianne. The hearing on the 19th in front of Magistrate Rose is at 9:15 a.m. Eastern. I can bring court watchers. People can attend. You're all welcome to attend. It is virtual. I told the Westchester Court I'm not coming in person. I fear for my life. I would only travel to New York with federal marshal, security. I am not going to be subjected to any more torment or any more risk. I now have AFib, and I now have
Mm.
other, high blood pressure and other issues. I
Oh.
don't need more torture from corrupt cops that don't abide law and are pissed off
Hmm.
that what I was able to convince an attorney general with others that he should be investigated, or I sued him federally, for over 6 years to prove that he's a disability discriminated cop, you know. And Marianne, it's so amazing how no one tells you anything. Again, we're supposed to have enhanced discovery in New York, so I only found out about Supervisor Kane because I had a headache. It was about 2 months ago, Marianne, and I'm reading the deposition of the internal affairs in federal court. And he says, my attorney asked him, who signed the arrest report? Oh, it was Supervisor Sean Kane. That was page 80 of the sworn federal deposition. You don't think they'd actually volunteer this? This guy, 7 months ago was suspended. So this guy suspended for trying to plant drugs when another cop had this defendant 6 blocks away on this guy's car, okay, is found to plant drugs. But you don't think the DA should call us and say, "Oh, I got to dismiss the case to the supervisor on your arrest report with Officer Slasher, who's on desk duty, right? Has just been found that he planted drugs and lied on his camera's arrest report." Well, you don't want to share that with a disabled defendant? You don't want to call us up and say you're investigating all the cases? Oh, no, it's Marc Fishman. He needs to rot in hell. He should go to jail for 3 years. Screw him, because he sues the DA. I did sue the DA.
Hmm.
She had immunity, got tossed. Okay, but I sued her with no threat. That was valid. I said she didn't give me the camera evidence. She told the judge she didn't have it. Well, guess what? On the enhanced discovery law, Marianne, if the cops have the cameras after January 120, it means the DA has them too. So she lied. She lied to a federal judge. Her name was Miriam Roca. She was Pete Bahara's lieutenant. Everyone celebrated. She's so great for wrongful conviction. She was my wife's bosom buddy in my sister's place. Protection against women that feel and want to make up that they've been abused. There's no police reports of my ex-wife during the marriage being abused.
Hmm.
There's no physical reports of anything, nothing. It's loving husband.
Hmm.
But Miriam Roca, we're going to tell the federal judge in this disability discrimination case that there is no cameras, that there is no video. Oh, yeah? Well, guess what? Let's go to videotape. Why did Chief Wensler tell us in federal court there were cameras? And White Officer Fletcher said he reviewed them to refresh his recollection. Oh, I'm cognitively impaired. I do better with images than words. But I couldn't see him before my trial. My jury couldn't see him. Marianne, when they want to convict you in Westchester, there is no due process.
No.
Whether you are a Trump fan or not, I applaud the fact that there are members of the community going through the Doge team and going into the federal grants. Westchester should lose all its grants, be suspended for a year, at least.
Yep.
The grants to manage supervised visitation, the grants to manage CPS, the grants for computer supplies for domestic violence. What? Come on. All these monies are used to torture victims. And it's not just men. We're seeing it. It's who they hate the most. And seeing it against a lot of women. It's astounding that they actually thought we were never going to get this camera footage. It's even more astounding that they think an attorney general would investigate Schlesinger. And the most astounding thing was, here's the police chief, Garza, who refers Schlesinger. They don't want to refer anyone. They were forced to, because Schlesinger did this misconduct in another county. They were forced to. So, Marianne, look at the nonsense. Look at the nonsense here. And yet they still want to torture me. What about the people that don't have the resilience that you and I have? What about the people that can't defend themselves? What about people that get a government attorney who just says, "Oh, you got to take a deal"? Take a deal for what? In my case, Mr. Fishman, get an ACD. Tell them you did something. I didn't do anything. Did you expect me to look their kids in the eye and tell them I did something I didn't do?
Yeah, I wonder what your ex-wife is telling these kids.
Scary stuff, right?
Yeah. How is she going to explain to her kids all these lies? Because, they didn't hold her in contempt the first time, but there could always be a second time.
Listen, I couldn't even imagine how to answer that question. Look at what happened to you. You were jailed. I would not want to get into the head of my ex-wife. It's so many years ago. I don't look at her as the ultimate villain. A lot of my family does. A lot of my friends do. The ultimate villain's the court. You allowed this. You allowed this. The ultimate villain's the district attorney. You allowed the cameras not to be given to me. You allowed her to make false reports. The ultimate villain is for people who didn't address Officer Schlesinger earlier. He's a 17.6-year veteran cop. Kane, an 18-year veteran cop. And you're telling us both of them had the highest disciplinary records? When the Attorney General reviewed it, she said New Rochelle's disciplinary records didn't identify all the disciplinary missteps and all the actions and all the violations. They didn't identify all the violations last year. They combined them into one report. So you mean it really wasn't 38, it was really a lot more? Keep in mind, for a cop, chief cop, to refer Schlesinger while I have my federal lawsuit going on to the Attorney General, he was forced to. There were a lot of people he could have referred. He was forced to. And this was designed to be public. Keep in mind, this is pattern abuse. Schlesinger's pattern abuse, public report. So a lot of people have been calling the Attorney General saying, why didn't you put Mark's case in there? Well, that's a good question, Marianne. One of the answers I have is that when I sued the judges and I sued the staff and the court administrators, most of them were dismissed, but one was not. One was Attorney D'Ambrosio, the attorney for Judge Shower in family court, who tortured me for 5 years. Attorney D'Ambrosio blocked my note taker. So Judge Karras did not dismiss her. She was in the case. And guess who defended D'Ambrosio all the way up to the Supreme Court? Attorney General Letitia James. Would we expect Attorney General James to put my name in the misconduct report like she puts it in for all New York City cops? Why isn't it there? Oh, my case was too old. If you look at the New York City cops, every lawsuit and every claim is at the bottom of the report. Why isn't mine there? You think the Attorney General is trying to throw a bone, protect the cops? Protect herself? Screw me? Oh, you got an order for communication accommodation against me. We have to punish you too. Raises a lot of eyebrows, Marianne, right?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of corruption in that vicinity and other vicinities.
But she has no problem suing people like Trump, not because she's got a valid case, but because she has a difference of opinion on how he values his properties.
Right.
Everyone values their properties different.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's home is their castle. It's called tax certiorari. You go into court, you say your property's worth X, they say it's worth Y. Now keep in mind, according to A.G. James, we got to try and not smile, put a smile on this, but Mar-a-Lago is only worth $18 million. But meanwhile, the head of Citadel just paid $2 billion for a plot of land much smaller than Mar-a-Lago with no house on it. But Mar-a-Lago is only worth $8 million. Why? Oh, the T-shirt James says so. Let's believe it. Why don't we get fact checkers Why don't we get
Right.
3 independent appraisals?
Right.
Oh, and Trump overvalued the appraisal. What?
Oh.
Number one, do you think the president even does appraisals? He doesn't do appraisals. He got tax people that does this. He's got real estate. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't this is persecution. This
Oh,
isn't
yes,
justice.
I agree.
And I think the more we talk about that's on your shows and others, persecution, persecution, revenge,
Mhm.
persecution. Look how kids getting hurt. Look how we're hurt.
Right.
You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. And it's what my friend Jim Kelly, who has the Facebook group Cameras in Court, both were on TV together with Blaze Gomez, News 12. We want cameras in court. We want them live. We want cameras in the entries to court. We want the foyers. Why? Well, situations like this. According to my ex-wife, with her 34 sets of charges, they only jailed me for 3, right? One was sending gifts to my kids. Gifts that my daughter ordered off Amazon with a gift card I gave her a year before.
Oh.
A gift card I gave her for babysitting her brothers. But my ex is getting $300 a month saying there's a third party. So Judge Shower threw me in jail for sending gifts for 2 weeks in the jail hospital. No criminal trial, no rebuttal, anything. Okay. Kept on saying that the gifts were mine. I said, I gave my daughter the gift card before you were involved in the case, Your Honor.
Oh.
Oh, but there's these stores here, they all have your last name on it. Well, yeah, my aunt sends gifts, my mother sends gifts, other people. Oh, your mother sent this? I said, yeah, my mother went to Neiman Marcus. I don't go to Neiman Marcus. I said, here's a bill, here's a certification. Bring her in to testify. Not bring her in to testify. Oh, because she thinks you're a liar. She ain't going to testify with the gifts from Neiman Marcus. I said, Your Honor, you said I could send gifts during holidays. No, Mr. Fishman. I said, Your Honor, here it is in your order. I don't care what the handwritten order says. You know what, Your Honor? No. I told you in March there were no holidays between March and July 16. John, my AGF, Donna Drum stands up. You denied his note taker. He has tinnitus. He can't write notes. He has cubital and carpal tunnel syndrome. You denied a tape recorder. He can't get a transcript. He can't get a transcript from 8 months ago? No, Your Honor. They hold up the digital transcripts, and then once they send, they're all inaudible. Of course, your courtroom's on a list of buildings that are inaudible. I told you there was no gifts March to July. Go to jail.
Well, this is why I like to see tamper-proof mics in there as well. And what they put you through is just beyond egregious.
But Marianne, it's not just tamper through mics. Judge Shower didn't like the transcripts when she got them. She blamed my court-approved transcriber. His name was Alan Kachowski, and he was one of the defendants behind the Bruin decision about having a gun license, where they ruled that New York people have a right to gun license. He was denied it. So he was attacked by judges, and they eventually got him fired from his transcription business. He's a lawyer. Okay. Hi, Alan. Okay. And he was retaliated against because he was doing transcripts for me, and there were lots of inaudible words. And, inaudible words is because either they blip them out, as you're aware, or, the system just doesn't record it. There's no live court reporter. There needs to be these cases, because then you have less chance of them fooling around. Right. So when Judge Shower did not like one of Alan Kachowski's transcripts, she ordered all the attorneys to come to a hearing. I said, I want to come with my AD. No, you can't come. I said, it's a proceeding for the record. She says, no, we are going to play the video, and we're going to play it to every one of these attorneys and me agree on what was said. I said, Your Honor, the official record is the official record. I have a right to be present. She said, no, you got the right to go to jail again. You want to go to jail again? I put up my arms to be handcuffs again. You're not coming, Mr. Fitt. We're going to have the attorney. She had all the attorneys certify the transcript, did all the edits of what they heard instead of what the transcriber heard. And then transcription services wrote letters saying you're suspended. Retaliation. And yet Judge Shower just became an AJSC, a Supreme Court Associate Justice, the head family court judge. They reward her? You reward a terrorist that changes the record, that jails people with TBI, that send gifts to their kids? You allow my ex-wife to keep kids and take away my joint custody, and my ex-wife testifies in 2016 and 17, 18, that my gift giving interferes with her parenting? I kept on correcting records. She said, excuse me, dear, it's not your kids, it's our kids. And then she kept on saying, it's my kids, my kids. Go get a test tube, and get injected with sperm from some test tube donation center.
Mm-hmm.
These are our kids, but you couldn't accept that, Jennifer Solomon. You couldn't. So you had to terrorize the disabled man and take advantage of his disability and have your attorneys fight in state court to deny me accommodations using federal funds. That's what Doja set up for.
Yep.
Her attorneys wrote 8 briefs to the appellate division on why I should have a note taker and why they felt I wasn't disabled. And none of her attorneys were a doctor or nurse. And they won all those in state court. But I won federal court, ordering state to do it. And then later on, Vinesh Patel, the number 3 at US DOJ, did a letter, under Biden. And she said, you cannot use federal funds to oppose ADA civil rights for disabled people. You can't. And then her attorney said she couldn't represent her anymore. They use federal funds to go to the appellate division to say how it wasn't disabled. Can you imagine? It's public decisions. Mr. Fishman claims he's disabled. The court finds not. The court accommodated all Mr. Fishman's requested accommodations, but the judge was right to deny a note taker. Mr. Fishman did not prove that he has a bodily impairment that impairs a major life activity. No, I didn't. My doctors did. And so did the doctors you made me go for your forensic. Mr. Fishman has a hearing impairment. Mr. Fishman has tinnitus in the left ear, 30% impairment. Mr. Fishman has a stimulator in each chest. Mr. Fishman has high blood pressure. Mr. Fishman has obstructive sleep apnea. He can't take a CPAP, so he's got a tongue stimulator. He is disabled. No, according to Judge Shower, she's not. Judge Shower did 8 years in the appellate court. So according to Judge Shower in the appellate court, he's not disabled. So she didn't discriminate. Really? Then why did the federal Second Circuit order the accommodations against the state, including Judge Shower? And why didn't you appeal it? Mm-hmm. Aha, Marianne, my good friend. Now we get to the cheese. Why didn't you appeal the order, state? The order was issued on July 16, 2021 by the federal Second Circuit. The state, unlike you and I get 30 days to appeal. The state gets 90. They're the state. And if the state appeals this to SCOTUS, Marianne, mm-hmm. the U.S. Supreme Court is 40% more likely to take the case because they take cases appealed by states, right? Mm-hmm. Tennessee versus Lane, right? Tennessee appealing the fact that Lane was given an accommodation and judges had no immunity, right? So Marc Fishman appealing, which I did appeal because I won the accommodation, but I didn't win money for the transcripts. Next thing you know, they didn't appeal. Well, it's law. But if they would have appealed, the Supreme Court would have taken my case. Oh. So they later came back and said, no, that order is only against us when Mr. Fishman sues us in federal court. Now, this be right to New York contact them, so a lot of people, that order is against you to accommodate him with communication accommodation everywhere in New York State, or your 3,000 courts. Hope Mr. Fishman's never in any more of your courts, but in your 3,000 courts, you have to accommodate him. And so, this was the nonsense. Mm-hmm. And, now their problem is they got Attorney General after them because the Attorney General wants to do no follow-up in terms of what the DA and what the police chief are doing about all the cases from Schlesinger. And they don't want to do them because our DA is a judge. There's a lot of cases I bet will be reversed.
Oh,
when we call up the DA's office, you know what they say? We don't have a conviction integrity. Everyone left with Mimi Rocha. Oh, but Mimi Rocha got this report in August. Why didn't she investigate it? Oh, Mimi Rocha's on the board of my sister's place who attended the trial of my ex-wife as a witness. Oh, they're saying she's abused. They got to walk her in. You fear a disabled man with a mobility impairment, with a foot injury, a neck injury, impaired knee? What do you fear? I met you. I'm the nicest guy. My niece hugs me. My cousins say we love playing games, and we play checkers and we play video games and we play catch. What do you fear? What do you fear? I'm not going to outrun you.
Yeah, they all seem to go to that. Do you notice that? They all seem to go to the fear button. I don't know why.
Isn't it amazing? That reminds me of one of the items that Judge Capici said to me. The last time I was in person was March 20th of 2020, and Judge Capici agreed that my kids should have therapeutic visitation. So did I. But she didn't put it in place. And instead she said, Mr. Fishman, I've had you now for 2.5 years, and I'm sick and tired of you threatening to sue everybody. You threatened to sue me. You threatened to sue my court attorney. You call her an administrator. She's a court attorney. I said, well, Your Honor, she administrates family court. You're the family court judge for people falsely accused of violent crimes, which I'm not one of them, but I'm falsely accused. Never been violent with anyone. She's an attorney, or she's an administrator, Your Honor. Okay, you sue my secretary. You sue the supervision providers. And she said, threatening judges is a crime. And she says, what do you have to say for yourself? And while she's saying that, 8 court officers are about to seize me, handcuff me, shackle me, throw me in the pen. And I said, Your Honor, you have it all wrong. And she puts her hands on the table. She pounds at Marianne. And she says, explain to me, Mr. Fishman, how I'm wrong. Your Honor, I didn't sue. I didn't threaten any of you people. I sued you. I said, and these 2 cases are pending. I said, and this one's there against Sharon and the other people. And I hadn't won the order for the accommodation yet. And I said, here's the one on 21 where you didn't give me closed captioning. And, Your Honor, I have too much respect for the institution. I never threatened any of you people. I sued you. And the fact that federal judges kept 2 of the 3 lawsuits open means they have validity. And if you have a problem, I'm sure you can contact the federal judges. They're around the Black and White Plains, I think 2 blocks away. But Your Honor, I have never threatened you, and I never plan on threatening anybody. But I've sued you is a statement of fact. And if you are going to prejudice me in this action and hold me hostage to my kids, because you don't like the fact that I have civil rights and disability lawsuits against state court and employees, and you're violating my civil rights, you should recuse. At that time, she goes like this, Marianne, and tells the guards, push away. Because the truth of the matter is, last I checked, in federal court, when you're a poor person, the judges check out the lawsuit before they allow it to go through. They won't have the marshal serve it. I guess they saw validity to have them marshal serve it.
Right.
Wow. Right. But you want 8 officers coming after, Marc Fishman with his 2 neurostimulators and the wires in his head and the injured nerves. You want 8 of them? 8? What are you going to do? Oh, intimidation.
Right.
I think that's violating my civil rights too. Are you intimidating me because I sued you in federal court?
Huh. This kind of reminds me when I went into federal court with my case and I was dropping off exhibits to the opposing attorney who hauled me into a boardroom and said, I can tell you've been to court. And so I'm just like, yeah, what? And he said, look, I know both those judges in the federal courthouse. I'm going to tell you how this case is going to go. I'm going to get this case dismissed. And that's pretty much how it's going to go. And I said, okay, have a nice day. And then I went and filled out an affidavit of what he said, and he did get in trouble, but it turned out that way, basically.
So they dismissed it on you.
Yeah, they dismissed it, but then I took it to the appellate, and then it rotted there for about 4 months, and then it got dismissed.
Okay. Well, I applaud you because just the fact that you continued the fight, those of us have gotten federal cases dismissed. I've had my share. But the discovery and the cameras and the audio and the things that you would never get in state court, that you would never get from police, that you would never get FOIL. Marianne, I applaud you because just by having the fight, you got information, knowledge, and you learned the system. And you learn methods to deal with it. So you're a winner. You're a winner. I'm a winner.
Well, do you want to hear a good one? I can tell you a good one. We had a telephonic phone conference with the attorneys and my ex's attorney didn't show up because he just doesn't do things like that. And the judge, it was a magistrate. He actually admitted that he didn't even look at any of the exhibits that had been rotting there for practically a year. So I had to file a motion to have him read the exhibits. Then 4 days later, I get an order that he wants everything dismissed because it had merit. Sorry. This is what they do to people.
It is. It is. In federal court, we have a better chance because once you survive the initial 6 months, and most of the time when we initially file, we make the lawsuit quite specific, but also quite general, meaning you don't want to sue the judges in the initial case. You want to sue the court administrator in their official and administrative capacity and administrating the court or lack thereof by violating civil rights. Or you just put the court system on it and later the judge says you want to amend it. Yeah. You amend it, you include the administrator. You know, the same thing goes to the other side. Often I found these federal cases that have survived for years, like the current one I'm involved in. It's because the other side immediately said, I want to file a motion to dismiss. And the judge said, no. In my rules, I will let you know when I'm ready. And I want to see more evidence. I want another explanation brief. I want to see the amended version. I want to see a response. And then some of us are very lucky to get federal discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, as we saw, Marianne, does anyone really think there would be a conviction of Schlesinger, in the law enforcement misconduct unit without him withholding the cameras and without him nonchalantly saying in federal court that he reviewed the cameras when he had to be deposed, but the rest of us were told there's no cameras? Come on.
Yeah.
It would only have been federal discovery. Never would have gotten this. Never would have gotten his boss there, to say, oh, Sergeant Kane signed the report. If the case didn't go on for 6 years and they didn't drag it out, in my case, just wanting to have orders of protection now for 7 years.
Ugh.
Criminal order of protection for 7 years for what? Right? Well,
Right.
now we got Officer Kane. Officer Kane, dirty. Add this to the pattern of his disciplinary record. And by the way, you're supposed to get the disciplinary record when it's significant in that enhanced discovery. We got nothing. We didn't get Kane's disciplinary record. We didn't get Schlesinger's. Nothing. Nada. Zero. Quarter inch papers. And you call this fair discovery?
Oh, and what did
No
this
due
cost?
process.
Yeah, yeah. What did this cost the taxpayer?
There you go. But the judge still wants to lock me up. They say after they adjourn the case, 2 years and 2 months, that I should come in and now be sentenced. Sentenced for what? Your prosecution was illegal. You don't have a charging document. There was no grand jury. Your charging document was amended. You're not allowed to amend one that has factually incorrect information. You say I went to the property. You told the jury to convict me of attempted and actual, okay, when you didn't explain what attempted was. Attempted, I was 2-3 hours down. The jury convicts me of both. We object, say you can't do that. We file papers. The DA agrees he can't be convicted of both. So under that thing, 31050, you got to dismiss the case. No, not if you're Marc Fishman, you sue us. 31050, if a judge gave the jury instructions in the consecutive, you have to be guilty of attempted and actual, not either or, both, or acquit him. 31050 says you can't have 2 convictions for 1 crime, but Judge Zuckman said you can, Judge Capici, and Shower references it. This is Marc Fishman, he can. So the DA, year later says the judge should drop 1. Well, the judge says, I'm not dropping any. I want to do 3 years. Okay, what? 3 years for what? So the DA had a responsibility when she says they violated 31050 to dismiss, acquit, or retrial. DA stays silent. DA Rocha stayed silent when the judge said, I'm going to sentence him for both. Corruption, corruption, corruption. They don't care. Mm-mm. So maybe it's good that Attorney General's right now. Maybe it's good Doge is evaluated grants. Maybe it's good Capici voluntarily relinquished the case to stop the disability discrimination. Maybe it's good because this abuse has to be exposed and has to end.
Oh, it
My
does.
kids deserve an active father. So do yours. Deserve an active mother. This is absurd.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right. The courts are the ones also participating in this child psychological abuse.
It's true.
Can you get them on child psychological abuse as well as the PA?
Marianne, some of us are getting really tired of suing them, and I got to start worried about my health.
Oh,
this is taking an enormous toll. I've done my journey. I want my kids back. I'll give the torch to someone else. I'm on some nonprofits now. I want to be supportive. I want to help, but you do have to take some time out for yourself. It's very hard. I got more than 372 comments and congratulations on Facebook after my friend Anthony Cancel at Pro Se Dad posted the 6-page order. And it was very moving. My initial reaction, I have to tell you, my fiance and I was, the order can't be true. They're doing something for Marc Fishman. No. No. Well, what is this? It's recorded. It's in their their little Microsoft system, their e-courts, and we still said the whole weekend, no, this is accurate, you know. But then to
Wow.
hear from like 8, 9 attorneys, like, how'd you get that order? It's authentic, really,
Yeah,
you know?
you can't believe it.
Yeah,
That
and we're still waiting for the
somebody did
support
the right
collector
thing.
to input it into the record. Meaning, if I had paid this money, of course, I can never catch up. I gave my ex-wife over $500,000 support.
Ugh.
You never catch up when you spent years in the hospital and you're forced to pay forensic evaluations, 19 of them, have a supervisor for $500 a day, hire a limo to bring your kids home. They won't let you do it. You can never catch up. So even though you paid $500,000, and even though you're trying to pay, you can never catch up. So now the issue is, they have to credit, because the law is very specific. We don't force refund of child support. Oh, but you do force credits. So now we're waiting for New York Child Support Collection Unit to credit the account. They said they're going to do it originally by today. We'll see. Now I'm told by the 23rd. But we did get a message saying the order has been confirmed and they are entering the credits. So I still have to have a bill billing me for my daughter's child support. She turned 21 on February 9th. Why don't they just automatically take her off?
Right.
Oh, we can't do that. It's Marc Fishman. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. So why
Yeah,
don't you tell
see,
me? Just go
yeah,
to
they
federal
make up
court.
the
Why should I
law.
even talk to you people?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You are amazing. I mean, everything you've been through and you've come this far and you win this. This is major. This is going to help so many other people as well.
Well, I'm proud of you, Marianne. I mean, you helped us tell the story. And, I'm one of those people who used to be a very private person. I didn't want to discuss my health with anybody. And now I use my health as a shield.
Mhm.
Why are you doing this to me? I'm disabled. What kind of joy are you getting? Why are you forcing me in some days in Westchester to go to 3 family courts in the same 6 hours? You know
Oh,
why, Marianne? They want you to be late. Now, by the way, I'm not aware of any other county in New York that has 3 family courts. So some days I had to go into White Plains Family Court, Yonkers Family Court, and New Rochelle. You expect my aide to drive that quickly? You think there's parking in all these places? You
oh,
think I don't need time to adjust my stimulator settings and get to a car? You don't think I need time to organize papers? No, screw you. You're late to it. Okay, I'm going to hold you in contempt. Do this, whatever. And why'd you
oh.
schedule 3 in one day? Because they want you to fail. Why aren't you in one building?
Yeah,
Oh, you're Marc Fishman that sues the judges in the states for display discrimination.
I also
Oh,
think
you
they
sued the
want you to get
cops
sick,
because, so why am I in 3 family courts? Someone's in
right?
one. It's just like I tell everyone, why didn't this end in 2000? I think it was 17, 16, 17. Judge Shower moved from New Rochelle to Yonkers Court. You don't move with a judge. You never move with a judge in New York.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
We're moving you, Mark. Why? So then my attorney said he's only appointed for Mount Vernon and New Rochelle. He had to step off the case. My attorney of a year and a half has to step off the case because he's not appointed for Yonkers. Well, that's what you wanted in the beginning. But my ex has her nonprofit abuse lawyers. By the way, the only way they were able to represent her because she made too much money was by saying they're abuse. So Judge Shower was never going to take away abuse, even though she had the unfounded letters from not one, but ACS and CPS.
Oh yeah.
In the
Those.
end, Judge Shower said, I'm not going to allow ACS or CPS to testify. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, they're wrong. But they are unfounded. So we're going to put in the record that says unfounded, but they're wrong. Then my attorney sets up. You can't say they're wrong, Your Honor. They are saying that unfounded evidence that Ms. Salmon lied. Strike. Objection, Your Honor. Strike. Why are you striking? It says here there's evidence that Ms. Salmon lied. Mr. Fishman didn't strangle anybody. You know? By
Mm.
the way, there were videos of the kids throwing things to other at the gym. Mark was not throwing kids anything, wasn't showing any kids. But yeah, Judge Shower says I'm guilty. And the appellate division holds it up and says, certain behavior of Mr. Fishman scares the kids.
Oh,
No, I don't think so. I think the behavior of their mother to keep me away at all costs and expense and make up all these lies scares the kids. And their mother constantly demonizing me scares the kids.
mm-hmm.
And their mother trying to tell them, oh, they can't have extra time, demonize the kids. And I fault Judge Shower when Judge Shower was told that 2 of my kids had different opinions than the other 2, that she didn't give them separate attorneys. They had one attorney, one devil. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until Judge Capici had an in-camera, and now we're talking way out, Marianne. I think we're talking 2020. So we go from the final order with Judge Shower in June of 18 after a family court trial ended in September 17. That's right. Judge Shower went right up a final order. I had to sue her in federal court to get a final order. Judge Karras had to order a final order. She only appealed a final order. And in court, I was told you'll no longer see Judge Shower. June of 18. So I had to sue in federal court. So then I immediately sued to change custody. It takes Capici till early 2020 into 21, right? Yep. Early 2020 to say these kids need separate attorneys. Mm. I was pro se at the time. You know what it's like dealing with 4 different attorneys? You couldn't even get a hearing with all of them. Number 2, it's COVID, so everything's virtual. And number 3, you tell me, like you can't even meet with kids and stuff, so you're destined to lose. But even then, they were saying that my autistic son had a different opinion than the other 3. And eventually they just overwhelmed him and they just oh, we all don't want to see him. My autistic son was going to visits in all of 2020. Every week he would show up and he would be there telling me about his YouTubes and his hockey and everything. And the others wouldn't show up. And, I understand my daughter's teenager. I forgive her. I don't have anything. She's allowed to be a girl. But my other sons, the twins, they should have come. Their mother wasn't encouraging it, or the mother didn't tell them that there was a virtual call. It's just horrible.
Right. When I was in federal court, when I was hearing from one of my kids who was 16, 17, no, he was already graduated from high school. And he was saying, Mom, you just go around suing everybody. It's like, well, some people need to be sued. There are some instances that it has to happen. And stay out of it. I said, this is not anything for you to be bothered with. How would he know that? I never told him I entered federal court. Who told him? Dear old dad.
And Judge Shower put a gag order on the attorneys talking to kids about the case, or my ex-wife talking about the case, and they told them anyway. But what I'll say to you is, some people say, like I remember off court administration, June of 18, in front of Judge Karras in federal court, and they say, Mr. Fishman is a serial suer. He's sued all these times. And, you need to take consideration into this case. And I said to him, Your Honor, I only have 2 federal lawsuits. The fact that there might be, 15 administrative court members on there doesn't mean, Marianne, you sued 15 times. Yeah. Marianne was 2 lawsuits. 2. Mm-hmm. And years later, now it's 4. 4 federal lawsuits, 1 still going on from 19. 4. Each of them I got an order confirming I'm disabled. Each of them I got more accommodations and more evidence released. So don't tell me I'm a serial suer. But if you want to talk about a serial suer, Judge Shower allowed my ex-wife to amend the case 8 times to add more charges. We never had charges on the original case of the unfounded abuse. She eventually dismissed that. Why? Why didn't we have charges on that alone and dismiss the case? Let's just keep amending it. Let's keep him in supervised visitation. And what does Judge Shower say in March of 18? When she has to order an aid. I'm ordering you, I'm going to give you your court-appointed aid. You are to get permission from Miss Solomon's attorney for the children, your attorney, my court attorney, on who the person is. After telling everyone who the person is, giving them a resume, yada, yada, you're allowed to have a court-appointed aid. Okay? So my ex knew it was an aid, but on the arrest report, she says, no, that's not an aid. That's a girlfriend. That was an aid. Oh. On the police, they say, no, that wasn't an aid. She drives the kids. She's driven the kids for over a year. Mm-hmm. She's appointed. You just had to agree to her. You want to say she's not an aid because you want to falsify an arrest report. You guys all certified her. Here's the order. Before you arrested me, you guys all knew she was an aid. So if it's an aid, it's a visit because the aid was only appointed for visits twice a month. But no, it's Marc Fishman. So who cares about the court-ordered aid? Who cares about the visits twice a month? It's Marc Fishman. The hell with it. Guilty. Boom.
I can't see them letting her get away with this.
Well, we'll see on the 19th if I get a judgment for monies against her for all of the 19 forensic reports and supervisors and limos, $165,499. And we'll see if I get the other kids terminated for support. We'll see if I get a credit for childcare. Don't know what they're going to do. I suspect they're sick and tired of me. They did give me virtual. And what they did say, interesting enough, was before I filed on February 12th, they said, you can file anything. We're not going to consider it because there's warrants against you. So we're going to call you a fugitive. You're becoming a fugitive, Your Honor? You had a confirmation on support and childcare in February 22, right after I had foot surgery, and you had a letter from my surgeon saying I couldn't walk, couldn't leave. Okay. I had pus coming out of my foot, couldn't come. I asked you for an attorney, and you said I'm not giving you an attorney. You had a confirmation hearing when I couldn't attend virtual, and you didn't give me an attorney. You can't have a confirmation hearing if you don't give someone an attorney.
Oh.
And I have a letter from her boss saying that she will give you an attorney. But the problem was this: Judge Capici is a Supreme Court judge, and Judge Agito, the head of the family court system, is a family court judge. Judge Agito later wrote to me when I complained I didn't have an attorney, and I was found default, that he doesn't control Judge Capici. She's not under him. But I said, Your Honor, here's an order from Judge Davidson appointing her as a family court judge. You are head of the family court of the Ninth Circuit, which is all of Westchester, Dutchess, Rockland, Orange, Putnam. If you don't have authority over her, then she's not a family court judge. So, of course, there should have been no default. And what was the default on, Marianne? Well, Marianne, again, here was not able to work. But if you add up the charges for the childcare, okay, after the childcare provider said she's no longer providing childcare in 17, those were more than the amount of the judgment for the default. So if you didn't bill me for the childcare, that doesn't exist because no one provided. My ex worked from home during COVID. Come on, let's be honest. She was a school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
There was no bus driving the kids because she moved my kids to her district. She had to pick them up via car. She moved the kids to her district without telling me. She moved them from New Rochelle to Marinick. There's no busing in Marinick. Okay. So there was no reason to have childcare for her to meet the bus on the way home because she picked up the kids. So wait a second. You're holding me in default, not giving me an attorney because you're billing me for childcare. It doesn't exist. No bill. But Marc Fishman should just fry in hell. Doesn't the law say you can't be held default if it's not support? Oh, it's Marc Fishman. He sues federal court judges and he sues the court system. And he got the exonerating evidence to clear him. And he proved Judge Shower discriminates by denying a note taker. So because he did this, you want to hold me in default for not paying childcare? What about your share, honey, of the $165,000? Because guess what? We have two disabled kids. One's got speech impairment and one is autistic. So according to our divorce judgment, we share the medical 56% to 44%. Where is your share? Oh, no, we'll never have a hearing on that. But where's the hearing? Why did I pay for forensic reports only for my son to say it's disabled? Why did I do this? Oh, you're Marc Fishman. You sue the court and the judges. You complain. You sue for disability discrimination. We have hearings. You get the attention of the nonprofits to join with you and say, the court's discriminating. Let's see. Well, if you guys didn't discriminate and violate my rights and others, then there wouldn't be any nonprofits and federal lawsuits. So if you want to blame anyone, look in the mirror. And it's yourself.
Right. Right. Well, I was in court and I got yelled at for complaining on people. And the opposing attorney said, well, you filed a complaint on my wife, and then you filed a complaint on the psychologist. Then you filed a complaint. He was going on. And he said, oh, yeah, he said, you filed a complaint on the caseworker, CPS caseworker. Are you going to file a complaint on me today? And I said, well, let's see how you do.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
and
true.
I said, look, when I was a nurse, I had to stand up for my patients. If I had to write a doctor up who would not prescribe pain medication or do the right thing, I would have to write doctors up. I wrote one up when I started a job and everyone thought I was going to get fired. I didn't. But I stand up for people. So I explained in court, I'm standing up for myself. They didn't like that. They did not like that.
Good for you. Proud of you. And now you spread that knowledge to all of us and all these people that watch this great podcast. And you're a staunch advocate. We love you. It's great. It's great. And listen, this is what it's all about. And I say to myself, why do so many people hate disabled people in family court and divorce court? We're the only club that at least 75% of you are guaranteed to join. We all grow old, or some live long than others, and we all lose bodily motion, become impaired. Some of us get cancer, like I had colon cancer. Some of them get heart disease. Some of us get a traumatic brain injury because we were hit by a van. Others break a foot. You're all disabled.
Right.
So why are you criticizing those of us who want to exercise reasonable accommodation or get things like aids to help us? Why do I even need to get permission? I had no family court. I had 4 kids. I get someone helping me, even if I wasn't disabled. I get someone helping my kid. No, you can't. You
Well, I
know
wish
what really sad things, Marion, I'll tell you? I'll never forget what Judge Shower said. Some of us in the Jewish faith, Eastern European, have what's called BRCA1 and BRCA2. These are the cancer genes where females and males are 80% likely to get ovarian cancer if you're female, or like 70% likely to get breast cancer if you're male or female. So we had found out my mother, before she died, had BRCA2. The most famous person was Angelina Jolie, whose mother had BRCA2, and Angelina Jolie had both her breasts removed and really publicized it to help other women say, get tested, get checked. My mother died an awful death. I'm Angelina Jolie. I'm an actress. I want to help everyone get educated. You're male, female, you're East European. Get checked. If you have BRCA1 or BRCA2, maybe you want to have your kids early on, and maybe you want to have your breasts or ovaries removed so you can live longer. Don't go through what my mother went through. It was a torture death. So I had made a motion in front of Judge Shower after my sister tested positive and said, I really want to get my daughter tested. And Judge Shower said, no, your wife, ex-wife, has authority, and she says she doesn't want to have the test. So it's denied. With a frown. This jurist is unfit to sit on the bench. She is a disgusting excuse for a human being.
Exactly.
And I feel bad that I, through my civil rights litigation, others, have not been able to get her evicted with everything she has done. I'm not going to name a name, but a friend of mine yesterday was jailed by her for not paying $15,000 in support after paying $300,000 the past couple of years. He has asked me to respect his privacy. He was locked up because he didn't pay a purge of $15,000 and he had $80,000 arrears. And Judge Shower did not care that he had a modification that's a year and a half old, and the magistrate did not hear it. The law says you cannot be jailed while you have a proceeding to lower your support pending. The magistrate said she didn't care. And Judge Shower, of course, doesn't care. And I had begged the gentleman who actually wrote to me when she saw this victory online. I said, can you let some of us help you? And he said, I'm too private. I'm too proud. I can't. And to hear from his mother that he is locked up in Westchester County and that Judge Shower is still terrorizing men and women, I feel I have failed these people. And I hope that, Marianne, through my continued action here, whatever I can do, that I could rectify this travesty by hopefully having the Attorney General and Doge and others, come together and finally evict this judge through all legal means necessary. It is truly horror. And it's not just men. A friend of mine, who I'll also remain nameless, a lady who works as in a lawyer's office, she lost joint custody because Judge Shower said she didn't go for a breathalyzer test. She works long hours, dedicated mom, really nice person, great boyfriend, great family. And she went for 7 alcohol tests and all tests negative. And Judge Shower kept on saying, you're abusing alcohol drinker. And so she missed one test. And Judge Shower said, I'm taking negative inference. I'm ruling against you and I'm changing custody. This is a sick excuse for a human being. She is a disgrace. Those of us who are Jews, she is an embarrassment. And forget about what she's already done to me and my family. You jail a man for $15,000? Now, I never had a purge amount of 15. He owes 80, according to them. It was efficient, pay the whole thing, just screw you. You just go in. Yeah, I don't get paid purge. We don't have those benefits. But the point is, you're jailing a dedicated father who's paying $2,500 a month, $1,500 out of his check, 55% of his
God,
check, you know,
she's
and
a
then
sociopath.
it's horrible. How is she allowed to be there? How
Ugh.
is she allowed to reign terror? How is she allowed to reign fury? Why is the Commission of Conduct not addressing her? Why are they giving her a pass? You know, and it's sad. And it's like you said, it is a conspiracy. One hand helps the other.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who is the attorney on the other side? That I will name. So the attorney on the other side is Faith Miller, who is the wife of Judge Shankman, who used to be the head of the Ninth District and who used to be the head of the appellate division in Brooklyn. Okay. Do you think that Judge Shower is going to be fair to the female client when her husband is being represented by Judge Shankman's wife? Oh, you think too much. Judge Shankman's wife got a score well before anything happened. The same um, uh, attorney was mentioned, for those of you who saw Sarah Wallace and Judge Eisenpress, my good friend Milena, who went public, so she's public, who was suing her husband. And before she lost her divorce, Judge Eisenpress was caught on vacation with members of Miller's staff in the Caribbean while hearing the case. So Judge Eisenpress recuses. But then the new judge, Zugaby, throws the book at Milena and says, you only see your kids supervised. Meanwhile, Milena has older kids that she raised and was watching kids in a professional capacity for years. This was the retaliation. She goes on TV with Sarah Wallace. They prove that the Faith Miller is representing the husband. So that's an in. And of course, Faith Miller is going to win. They're not going to have a case where Faith loses, right? And here you have the victim, Milena, goes on news, NBC, Sarah Wallace puts her on. We all see it on TV. Judge Eisenpress loses, I think, her seniority, gets thrown in Orange County. That's the dungeon for judges. Go to Orange County, the murder capital of New York. And meanwhile, Miller Zeitzman gets a win again, even though the staff of the judge was on vacation with her, with the staff of the Miller firm. This is justice. This is justice.
Yeah.
Let me tell
Hello,
you.
Doge.
Yeah. They protect each other.
Yeah.
So I'm still shocked that this order was done for me. I would rather have my kid and hug him and apologize every day for the rest of my life than not pay to support him.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you that I wish I could have won this fight earlier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if there's anything I can do to help get Shower legally removed off the bench, I'm there. I'm there. It is sad that she and D'Ambrosio and others get to terrorize other parents, men or women. She'll hate you either way.
Mm-hmm.
My friend just happened to be, of Southeast Asian descent, that with the alcohol test, and it reminds me of actually being sent 3 times for Judge Shower for alcohol tests, where they would look at my private parts as I went to the bathroom, and we'd go back to Judge Shower, and my attorney would say, "Well, what about Miss Salmon getting a pee test or a blood test or urine analysis? Because you keep on saying Mr. Fishman's on drugs. You have his medical reports. He has sensitive liver, so he's on electric stimulation. It's not going to show anything through through his pee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, she don't have to. That's discrimination. Recuse yourself. Go have her pee in a cup. Go and analyze it. No, Mr. Fishman said he can't make the court because he's tired or he's feeling, post-concussion syndrome, obstructive sleep apnea.
Mm-hmm.
You make me come for 9-hour court days. My ex-wife is excused because you say she's going to lose her job. I've already lost my work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So look at this. What is the point? And you try and do everything, every test, every analysis. What is the point? And that then you see, this level of corruption, and it goes both ways, and you don't know if the court, half of them love Judge Shower, the other part of them hate her. Judge Shower, before she got moved to White Plains, was in the old Yonkers courthouse. And she was complaining that there was lead, mold, and asbestos, contaminated air in her courtroom, and she wanted to leave. It was her way of saying she didn't want to be in Yonkers with all the poor people. She wanted to be in White Plains with better class of people. But they weren't going to move her. So what does she do? She goes to Home Depot and she gets her own lead paint mold tests. And she sends it to a lab. It finds positive mold area. Then she sends it to Shankman and says, you better move me because this is unhealthy to breathe. And here's my test. And then she writes the local Gannett. And it goes in there, Judge Shower complaining, and Judge Shower's just a family court judge. So they rush to move Shower to White Plains. But then Judge Malone, an honest judge, Supreme Court judge, she's African-American. She's a very nice lady. Then Judge Malone says, wait a second. I put in my application to move from Yonkers before Judge Shower. I'm the senior judge. Why are you moving her? They had to move Malone too. I know Judge Shankman didn't like doing that to Shower. But Judge Shankman and his wife, Faith Miller, let's call in a favor. Oh, yeah, let's persecute the mom. She didn't go for one alcohol test. Was she ever arrested for a DWI? No. Are any medical reports say she's got inflamed liver? No. Is there any indication that she drinks a lot? No. Do you have statements of testimony from her boyfriend and family she doesn't drink? Yes. But Judge Shower says you got to go for an alcohol test. Oh, and by the way, not just any alcohol test. You got to go to one of these labs which closes at 5 o'clock. She works. What are you supposed to do? Get fired? Yeah. I lost how many accounts running business stuff because I got to go. But my ex-wife's exempt. She's exempt. She doesn't have to show up. We got to expose the corruption. It's got to be a better system. Let's abolish family court. Let's take all the funding, and let's help. Let's help people who really need help.
Exactly.
And let's take away the $200,000, $80,000 salaries of judges. Let's only keep judges for real abuse. Let's have everyone go to social worker or mandated group therapy first. Those of us who are disabled, give us a disability part in court. Those of us who are veterans, give us a veterans part. We train veterans judges who understand veterans' needs, which your average Iraq and Afghanistan veteran having tinnitus, ring in the ear.
Yep.
What are you doing? Breaking things apart.
Right.
Why are you testing some of our resilience?
And judges should be given random drug screens. They should be given lie detector tests to see, who contributed what to their judge campaign. And they should be given psychological evals, and those should be done every 18 months.
Absolutely. And they should be subject to the jurisdiction of the local state human rights. In New York, our New York Rights Commission has jurisdiction of the buildings and the facilities and the courtrooms and the desks, but not over policies and procedures. Who's exempt from human rights? Only the courts, the judiciary in New York, and only the legislature. I don't have a problem with the legislature. They seem to police their staff pretty well. And there's an ADA advocate in New York called Kim Hill, who is very, very impactful and very pro-disabled. If someone calls and says they work in a legislative office, they're not accommodated, Kim Hill is going to help that person with accommodations till she's dead. Kim Hill has a neck injury similar to mine, but she is in a wheelchair. She did not have, her body did not have the resilience mine had when it got hit by a van. She really, a lot of them suffered worse. Mine, nerve injuries. Look at the impact. I was working out with a trainer 14 years, Marianne, and muscles absorb the impact, or else I'd be, in a wheelchair. So Kim's a great advocate. So I don't worry about the legislature. She doesn't have jurisdiction over the courts in New York. No one does. The courts should police themselves. Oh, yeah. So even though we know we've refined, we have now Part 52. I have judges that don't respond to Part 52 ADA accommodation requests. They just say, we're not going to respond. You respond for other people. I have others that don't have the interactive session. You're supposed to have the interactive session on the Title II of the ADA, where we can negotiate the accommodations if you denied the one that I primarily asked for. You have to give a reason. And the reason could be that it's excessive costs or it alters the program significantly. So that changes the character of the program. Neither of the things I request that, having a note taker, having an aide, real-time transcription like you give me, getting a free transcript. So they still resist. They still play their game. They say, we'll give you cart because the law says it, but we'll only give you on the screen. We won't give you a written transcript. But that means a written transcript in other states. Well, how are you going to do? Sue them? Come on. This is ridiculous. New York can't be fair. You have to you
Abolish.
have to have an ADA czar, just like they have in California and New Jersey, where if a judge doesn't do something, you complain to the central ADA czar judge, and they rule in 3 days. That's it. And then you could this whole nonsense of, if a judge denies an accommodation, go to the appellate division, and you can only do it on a final order. What judge denies an ADA accommodation on a final order? None. This is absurd. And people
Hmm.
wonder why people like Trump get into office, and there's a fury that they're spending $46 million for tourism in Egypt.
Yeah.
Why don't they spend $46 million to bring them to your town in Pennsylvania? I like your town. I like Pennsylvania. I like the streams. I like the Quakers. I like the food. Well, how come they spend it on Egypt? Why can't we spend it on Pennsylvania? Why give it to Philadelphia? Let's bring tourism there. They got a great flower show in March, right, Marianne?
Yeah.
Come on. They got great horticulture drawings. They got the Amish, the market. Why are we spending $46 million there? No, let's give it to Egypt. Why? Let Egypt go on online, advertise their own tourism. It's absurd. Come on.
I know it.
Ridiculous.
Oh, the waste. I'm so glad I had you on.
Thank
Uh,
you.
How can people reach you if they have any questions? Do you want me to put rentdriver@gmail.com?
Absolutely. Feel free to email me. We will get you, Marianne, that post for the virtual appearance on the 19th. I'm hoping they don't close the courtroom. They've never opened it up for me before, but there might be a first time for everything. Maybe the magistrate will be nice. I've never met her,
Mhm.
so hopefully she'll be professional. Um, I don't expect anything favorable because people are never favorable to me, but you never know. Maybe we turn the tide. But anyone who wants to come to virtual court on the 19th, you're more than welcome from Marc Fishman, 9:15 a.m. We'll give Marianne the post and the link. And they could let people in. I think the way they do it, because now in court watching, they say if you're going to watch, you can't talk, you can't record. Well, I didn't talk and I don't record. I don't break the rules. I really try to abide by them. But thank you, so much. And for those of you who have given up hope, this message is for you. Um, it is never okay to give up hope. My family and I never thought we'd have anyone declared an alienator. We never thought there'd be any support credit. We never thought they'd take childcare off. We never thought
Wow.
we'd lose Judge Capici. She was it. Judge Capici told us several times, I'm it. I'm the only judge in Westchester who's going to see you. I said, Your Honor, I had court across the street in small claims. Judge had no problem with me. And I was in landlord tenant court. I'm in real estate. They had no problem with me. Mr. Fishman, I'm the only judge who's going to see you in Westchester. Okay, Your Honor, thank you. And
Oh,
now she has relinquished. Let's say a prayer for Catherine Kasanoff. Catherine Kasanoff, who lost her kids to Judge Capici.
oh,
The
yeah.
Judge Capici says she's an unfit mother, takes away visitation. And Catherine Kasanoff has to, with cancer, go to Europe, assisted suicide. Well, Catherine, this victory's for you. Judge Capici has been evicted from my case and my 4 kids. And I'm sorry you couldn't be here to do it. And this is from colon cancer survivor Marc Fishman. God bless. God bless you, Marianne.
And God bless you too. Hang on, don't jump off. Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, and other platforms. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. Thank you so much, Marc Fishman. You're a blessing.
Thank you.